And because we know the Glock boys are gonna Glock boy, but that doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of other good options out there for you. All right, so I'm sure we all know what a Glock pistol is, or we've heard somebody say or somebody be told in a store or something, just get a Glock. Seems to be a default. But today I'm gonna talk about at least 5 alternatives for you should the Glock not fit you, whether you don't like the trigger or whether you don't like the grip angle. There's a lot of other really good, proven, reliable, and durable stuff out there, so you don't have to pigeonhole yourself to something that may not be the best choice for you. Now, I'm not saying that Glock might not be the best personal pistol for you, but what I'm saying is it might not be the best pistol for some of you out there based on minute differences in other designs. Because unlike many others out there in the world, I actually care about what you get and how well you perform with it and like it, because I want you to go more down the rabbit hole in the 2A world and enjoy it and have fun with it, because I don't want you to be left with the feeling that you weren't happy or you wasted money and time on ammo and a pistol that doesn't fit you, because I want you to be successful in your Second Amendment venture and keep going with it. And we're going to talk about 5 different striker fired options today, and we're not going to stick to one size category either, because all of these are offered in the various size groups out there, and we're going to talk about a little something smaller that's easier to carry around with you on the daily. So whether you're carrying something outside the waistband, out in the world, out there on duty, or whether you're carrying concealed, you're going to be able to pick something here out of at least one of these to safeguard yourself, right? Because that's really what it's all about. And as the title said, none of these suck. They're all pretty good and pretty well proven out there. Well, let's kick it off with numero uno, which we all know is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He even wore a shirt that said numero uno. But all jokes aside, the first one we're going to start off with today is a personal favorite of mine, but these are in no way in order of choice for you. I want you to learn about these things so you can make your own decision. And this first one's going to be one of my personal favorites, the Walther PDP. This is one of the best pistols, in my opinion, out there. Since the first pull of the trigger on this thing, I knew it was one that was gonna personally work for me. This has proven to be extremely durable, reliable, and it has overall great ergonomics if you are into a more neutral grip angle. The trigger on this one is absolute money. Even the basic PDP trigger is great, but if you get the flat face version out there, it's even better. You get awesome capacity here. You get 18 round magazines, good grip texture, a chunky slide, which some people love, some people don't, but you absolutely cannot miss those big, thick serrations on the front and rear when you go to manipulate that slide. It is optics ready via a plate system. You've got interchangeable back straps for a custom fit and length of pull, whether you got a shorter or longer finger, bigger, smaller hands, it's gonna be able to most likely work for you. You've got an accessory rail out front for all of your light and mini bayonet needs. The aftermarket has responded here with mag wells, triggers, and a bunch of different parts out there, which is always a good sign to know that something's gonna stick around. Now, my personal favorite part about the PDP here is going to be the ergonomics on here. So much more of a neutral grip angle. You do have those interchangeable back straps, but when I present this pistol, it's just right on point every single time. There's no minor adjustments or driving the muzzle down. It just seems to work for me. So the ergonomics here just flat out work for me. May not work for you, but it's one of those ones where if you like the neutral grip angle, just great overall feels on the side and the front strap and the back strap. Just did a great job here, the people over at Walther. And I can't say enough good stuff about the PDP. Now, that doesn't mean everything is perfect, because I don't think anything's really perfect out there. So if I had to change one thing when it came to the PDP, even though I do like the grip texture here, I think it could be about 10%, 20% more aggressive, and that would just even help more for driving that thing out there, keeping it flat, because the more traction you can put on your hand, the more you're going to be able to control that pistol. Even if it's like 3% more control, I will take it, because the more control you have, the faster your shots are going to be, and the more accurate you're going to be out there on the range. Now, you can feel free to disagree with me anytime in the comments down below, but just remember, we're all different. We all have different hands. We all have different ergonomics and injuries to our hands and things like that. And something that works for you may not work for somebody else. So remember that when you're leaving that comment. Next up on the list, no surprise, is going to be the M&P right here. So this is a very proven, durable, and reliable pistol out there. And as you can see, the aftermarket has responded, which again is always a pretty good sign that something is here to stay. But the M&P, it's just got a lot going on for it. And this thing has actually been through some pretty crazy torture tests out there. If you watch other videos where people have like frozen them in blocks of ice and they've actually outperformed the Glock. I guess if you're preparing for the Ice Age or whatever, if that's your thing. But like I said, there is a lot of good stuff going on here. First off, best grip texture in the game, in my opinion. I think it literally has the perfect mix of aggressive yet not abrasive grip texture out there, and it's my personal favorite. It's also got very good ergonomics, that less aggressive grip angle, interchangeable back straps on here for custom fit, a solid trigger, especially now they've gone with the flat face design. It is optics ready via a plate system. It's proven reliability, durability, and capacity in all sizes, from the Shield to the Shield Plus all the way through the full size models. It has a standard pick rail on it for all of your accessories. Great sights right out of the box. They are metal, they are night sights, they are good to go. And overall, this is just a really good running pistol out there that a ton of people are carrying, so it's so well proven. Now my favorite part here, like I said, it's going to be that grip texture. It is just that perfect mix of aggressive yet not abrasive. It's that sandpaper, chunky sandpaper design. I don't know, maybe something like a 500 grit, but it just works and it doesn't tear up your stomach or your clothing. Again, nothing is perfect, so if I had to change one thing when it came to the M&P pistol, it's going to be the radius on the front and the back strap. So it's a little bit of a sharper radius up here in the front and the back. So when I go to grab this pistol, my knuckle just never seems to want to fit right. It doesn't fit me, but there's no denying how good this pistol is. So again, trying to stay true to the audience and help you guys out, this is an amazing option, but it's one of those things where, as good as it is, that radius causes it to just not work for me, but it might work for you. Now this next one's gonna stir up some controversy because it absolutely wipes the floor with Glock in every way besides the price point, because they're about the same. And that's gonna be the new Springfield Echelon right here. Now I know, stick with me here because some people have some strong feelings when it comes to the Springfield brand, but let's talk about everything that this pistol gives us. The biggest one being it's a chassis system, or the COG, this central operating group in here. So the metal part in here comes completely out. So the grip module, the frame here, is not the serialized part. You can change it. There's colors coming. There's aftermarket ones coming that I know of. I just can't tell you who they are and what they are yet. But that opens up so many options for you because you can get different grip sizes. You can get different slide lengths when those come out. All of that stuff is coming. Now, they do have the small, medium, and large grips out right now, but the other ones are coming very soon. But there's a ton of other good stuff that comes with the Echelon right out of the box. You get a solid trigger on this thing. Now, it's not as good as the Walther PDP, but it is really good for a striker fired rig. It is optics ready, direct to slide. So no plate system here unless you're running the Acro footprint. That is awesome. I think that should be an industry standard because it makes your life easier not having to worry about different plates, because different plates are made out of everything from pot metal, basically, cast to plastic, none of which is great. It's got really good grip texture. It's got interchangeable back straps for a custom fit, a double undercut trigger guard from the factory, fully ambidextrous pistol, thumb ledges out on the front for recoil control, great front and rear slide serrations, very low bore axis to help with recoil, great metal factory sights on here, a multi-slot accessory rail for all your options out front. Now my favorite part here on the Echelon is going to be the optic direct to slide mount system. Now I am running the MPS on this one because that does take a plate, and I wanted to make sure you could see how low that still is on there over that bore, and the fact that you still can use your factory sights on there is definitely good to go. But just about every other major optic footprint is gonna fit direct to slide with a pin system, and I just think that's the way that the industry should go. Figure out a shim system or a spacer system like Shadow System did, and just roll with it, because plates, it just adds more failure points. There's more fasteners, there's more stuff going on. It raises the optic height up, so why not just get it direct to slide? I'm sure these engineers can figure it out. Now, if I had to change one thing when it came to the Echelon, it's gonna be that slide stop slide release. Even though it is good, you can get it on both sides, I would like to see two things change with it. I would like to see a slight curve on it, and I would like to see about 10–15% larger in size, and I think that would be perfect. But I'm a fan of extended controls. Some people don't like extended controls because as you marry your hand to this, you might activate it on accident. I normally don't have that problem, and I've got pretty big hands, but there are people that grab really, really high up onto that slide. That's not my style. If that's your style, maybe that wouldn't work for you. Maybe ambi controls wouldn't work for you at all. But all I'm saying is that's the one thing that I personally would change about the Echelon. And because we are not sticking to a singular size here, let's talk about the SIG Xmacro right here. This thing is just solid, right? I'm not the biggest SIG fan, but this thing, they just nailed it on this. It doesn't get much better. It gives you an almost full-size feel, yet a size, right, that you can still carry around all day. Look at the size of that compared to my hand. And you get like full-size capacity, right? Full-size feel, and 17 rounds in this thing, which is absolutely pretty crazy when you look at the size and you give that thing a good overall feel. So well done on that. But it still gives you a lot of other things that make this a really good choice out there in the market. This again is a chassis system, so you can swap slides, you can swap grip sizes, you can have aftermarket grips. All that stuff is available with a huge amount of aftermarket support. Overall, like I said, the size is great. Great ergonomics here, much more neutral than a Glock. And the good thing here is that it is a completely different trigger design. So not only does it feel better, but it doesn't have the stigma of those issues that the 320 full size does. You also get great sights right out of the box on this thing. They're that bright green night sight on the front, which I'm a huge fan of. I honestly think these are some of the better sights that come factory on pistols out there in the market. You get good grip texture on this. It's easy to control with that low bore axis and that almost full size feel to it. The optic is direct to slide for the micro dots, front and rear serrations, interchangeable back straps on here as well for a little bit more of a custom fit. Now my favorite element about the Xmacro here, it's just the size, right? It's about as perfect as you can get for feeling bigger than it is, yet still being super carryable out there every day, whether you're appendix, 3 o'clock, or however you want to carry the thing, in a fanny pack, in a backpack. It just seems to be good to go. And the aftermarket, like I said, has responded. If you can see that right there is the new Radian magwell and back strap setup right there, which is awesome. Still in testing. I'll have a video on that soon, but overall very good. Now, one thing I would change when it comes to the Xmacro, because it's not a love affair with any of these pistols, right? The grip texture needs to be better. Again, I've said that on a couple different pistols. It's not bad, but it's not great. Could be a little bit better on there, because since it is still a smaller pistol, you do want as much grip as possible. So when you're out there, you can control that recoil. Next up is the big monster. That's going to be the CZ P10F. This one here rivals the Glock 34 in size. It's just a big one. Look at the size of that grip extending out of my hand. And I've got double XL size hands. So this thing is an absolute monster, and it's a ton of fun out on the range. But they make it in a compact, and they make it in the S model, which is like their Glock 26 size, or maybe a little bit smaller. And all of them just seem to be good to go. There is a lot of good stuff when it comes to the CZ P10 series. These things are just solid all around and well proven out there. They've got a great trigger out of the box, good grip texture, interchangeable back straps, great metal night sights right out of the box with a bold front on there, an accessory rail out front. It's optics ready with a plate system, good aftermarket support here, low bore axis, and the price point here has been awesome recently because you've been able to pick up the optics ready version of these things for like 450 bucks. If I had to change something on the P10F, what would it be? I'd love to see a little bit more of a double undercut here. So they gave you a single undercut, and there's kind of like a slight flat spot, but almost kind of a small curvature there is what it looks like. I would love to see that get a little higher so you could really press up high into that and just control the recoil impulse a little better. Again, it's fine the way it is, but that would just be something that would make it just a tiny bit better. And my favorite part about the P10 series is going to be the trigger. For a factory striker fire rig, they just did a great job. And a trigger, while it's not everything out on the range, it can make a big difference out on the range, because if you take a trigger like this that's good and clean and tactile and responsive, and it's 4.5 pounds, and you compare that to a pistol that's got a 9-pound trigger in it, I can pretty much promise you at speed out there, you're gonna see the difference on your target. Now, what would a top list be without an honorable mention? And this one's an honorable mention because it's a clone and basically just a fully rigged out setup right out of the box, and that's going to be the XR920P from Shadow Systems. This is the new flush comp version, and it's absolutely sick, right? But these come at a price point. However, you can get the Foundation series that doesn't have the magwell, comes with different sights and just the plain barrel and without the slide windows, and it's the same price as a Glock, while giving you like all the options that people normally change out of a Glock into the custom world in that pistol, or you can go the full Monty and get the XR920P or any other version of the highest end shadow systems. But these things just have a ton of good stuff with them when it comes to not only their performance, but the design of these things, because they're based on the Gen 3, Gen 4 style Glock. Everything here is upgraded from the trigger to the sights on the Shadow Systems XR920P. You get a direct to slide optics mount. The grip texture is better. You've got better angles. You've got multiple different back straps for custom fit, double undercut on the trigger guard, thumb ledges out front to control recoil. The mag wheel is included on these models. It's literally just a full custom factory rig right out of the box. Now, I know we all have our favorites out there, but be honest in the comments down below. Have you ever cheated on your main squeeze out there on the range and realized you like it a little bit more than the factory Glock you're carrying around? Or are you just gonna stick with that factory Glock? Because there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like I said, this is just to help you understand there are a lot more options out there, and don't let somebody ram it down your throat when it comes to a model or a manufacturer, especially the Glock boys, because they just love to ram that brand down your throat for whatever reason. But there's a lot of other stuff out there that may work for you better, or the Glock might be the one for you. Now get subbed up to the channel, keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.